Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Yo Me Curo Sola in Spanglish. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your lives to listen to our podcast today. Ahora tenemos a really good one, a really, really good one. It's gonna stir something in you, but I'm gonna let my amigasa Liliana start us off, so she can explain it. Okay, she's a lot better at that than me. So go ahead, Liliana, take it away, amigasa.
Gracias, amiga. Hoy vamos a hablar de algo que puede mover fibras muy profundas, porque es un tema que a todas, como madres, nos mueve el alma. Nuestros hijos como espejos. Te invito a movernos conscientemente a un espacio de amor incondicional y compasión, no para justificar ni para minimizar, sino para poder ver con claridad este episodio. No venimos a señalar errores, ni a cargar culpas, ni a decirte que hiciste mal. We weren't given manuals on how to be great parents, or perfect daughters or sons. Y muchas de nosotros estamos criando aún en este momento a nuestros hijos, mientras todavía estamos nosotras mismas sanando. Y muchos estamos sanando heridas que ni siquiera sabíamos que existían, hasta que nuestros hijos llegaron a nuestra vida y a mostrarnos esas heridas. Este episodio no es para juzgarte, es para mirarte con más conciencia, más compasión y más amor. So if anything we say makes that vein on the side of your throat or your head pop, o de repente quieres aventar una chancla, I'm going to tell you to observe the emotion. Put the chancla down. No te defiendas. Escucha tu cuerpo y siente la emoción. ¿Dónde lo sientes? Y simplemente haz nota de ello. So, amiga, to get us started off, I'm going to share with our audience that I have one daughter. She is 29 years old. And I also have spiritual children that have come into my life that I have adopted as children as well. Call me mom and the whole 9 yards. When they have crises, I'm the one they contact. So I'll be talking about both my biological child and my spiritual children. ¿Y tu amiga? ¿Cuántos niños tienes?
Yo tengo two daughters. My oldest is 29 also, and my youngest is 25. And I think similar to you, I think my nieces, and I have a few of my nieces and my nephews. I think they've kind of become like también kind of like my spiritual children, because I know they kind of come to me whenever something is going on that has to do with this. So yeah. When you mentioned it, I'm like, I think I kind of became that for my nephews and nieces. So I'm really grateful for that.
So, vamos a empezar con la primera pregunta. ¿Qué historias familiares o traumas generacionales? ¿Esa la risa de nervios?
Yeah, it is. I can do it.
Can you breathe it in and breathe it in? Breathe it and breathe it out.
I got this.
¿Qué historias familiares o traumas generacionales se hicieron visibles a través de tus hijas?
Wow, that's a really good one. That's a really, really good one, because actually había pensado de esa pregunta when I saw it, when I saw it on the topic. I think the one what stands out to me the most tiene que ver con generaciones de personas in both sides of my family that have developed like mental illnesses that just kind of like were never taken care of, and then like and then we saw them roll over generation to generation. I know that based on my experience with my parents, I know that my dad has suffered from mental illnesses, anxiety, most likely. I don't want to, no lo quiero, I don't want to oust him out like that, but it has been evident to me just because of who I am today. that muchas de eso que le pasó a él me pasó a mí, and then I saw it with my daughters, and it had to do with depression. And that part, I noticed it because when it was pointed out to me through them, I realized that basically, I mean, what I taught them is what they learned. Like, I didn't know how to manage my emotions, so I couldn't teach them how to manage theirs. And then when they came to the age of, as say, when they hit puberty and they became teenagers, like they struggled. And that was like my first indication of me not giving them like the tools, what they needed to get through it. And I saw them suffering. And that was really hard for me. That was really, really hard for me because both of them went through it, differently. But I saw now in retrospect, I could see a lot of it that was me and them. I could totally see it.
Identificaste que estaba pasando por una depresión. Did you at that point recognize that you were depressed?
I think at that point, I started to notice me. I think I started to notice the patterns because I don't know, it was just like something like me seeing them go through that like triggered something in me that made me kind of look at my patterns. It wasn't that that I was in full recognition of like, oh, I'm depressed. I don't think I was, but something was like the similarities like started to become visible, and I started to notice that. But no, it wasn't at the beginning. It took me a while. It did take me a while before I realized that, like I'm depressed. I'm depressed, and now my children are depressed. And now, like, most likely my depression caused their depression, had something to do with their depression. And yeah, it kind of happened to me like that.
So, cuando estaban pasando por esa etapa, you're depressed, your children are depressed, you're not fully aware of the full identification of depression in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Did at some point you discipline your children, your girls, out of anger, out of frustration, out of fear because of your depression?
No, I for me, I feel like it was the opposite. Like, I felt a lot of empathy, like so much empathy for them, and I felt like I did something different where I wanted to get them help. Like, I wanted to know why they, what was happening with them, and I knew that I couldn't do it, but I was kind of doing like the same thing that I had done like all my life. I'm gonna do something different, something that nobody's ever done, and I'm gonna see what happens because I'm just gonna want to. I just need to know, and so I did the opposite. So nobody got me help, when I started, with my first bouts of depression, like probably as young as 12, and I think something. You know what? Honestly, I think I became hypervigilant of noticing it in them so that I could catch it. Because I remember like wanting really, really bad, like, okay, what am I going to do? I got a plan. I'm going to get mental health, and then I'm going to do this. And then, like I wanted to. By the time when it happened to my oldest daughter, unfortunately, like I wasn't there, but something started like, I don't know, like opening up in me, that by the time my youngest child went through it, which they're 4 years apart, I was like a lot more ready. Like I was just like a lot more ready. Like I can't, I sentía como, I can't let another daughter just kind of go through the same thing and me not do anything. Like I got to do something, So it was like an alarm in me for them, but not yet for me. Todavía, I wasn't there yet. I just wasn't there yet.
So in your effort to protect your children and to help them and to not want them to experience perhaps what you unconsciously were aware of,
mm-hmm.
Do you think that made you a parent that overprotected them, that shielded them from things that perhaps they should have been exposed to?
No, no. I also knew that like that part of like that part I like I needed to help them with it because I knew that if I didn't help them through that, they were gonna struggle later in life. So I didn't want to do it for them, but I wanted to help them help themselves. And I don't know why I don't something it was just like this instinct in me that just wanted to do it. I didn't know why. I didn't really have any maybe by this time I had already started maybe reading more and maybe just kind of becoming more aware of the illness and mental health in specific. But I just wanted to do something different. But I didn't want to baby them through it because I knew that I wasn't going to help them through it. But I just became, the only way I can describe it is that I became very like empathetic towards them because I think it was like my guilt of knowing that it was my actions that, like could have prevented this and now, they're going through it. So I was feeling guilt, a lot of it was guilt, but I don't think, I think I was still strong enough to not allow it to affect me in the way that was not going to help them. Like it was a kind of guilt that kind of forced me to do something different. I just wanted to do it different. Like I didn't know anything. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just needed to do this one thing different that was never done for me. And that's what I did. Yeah.
So why the guilt though?
I think it was like the guilt, like when you're a mom and your children start growing up and then you start noticing like what you didn't give them. Like I feel like I went through that part, like it was the guilt of me not spending and maybe not spending enough time with them as they were growing up. And then all these things started developing and I was just like, I didn't spend enough time with them to like know that this was going on, like to see the signs because there were probably signs. I just wasn't paying attention. And I just didn't pay attention. So it made me like, it was like, I felt really guilty that like, I guess that I was just going through life and not paying attention to them like the way I should have, and then by that time I had become aware that I didn't give them what they needed, very similar to, me not getting what I needed, so it was really interesting.
So it's, I think, a little bit of the adult Irene as a parent versus little Irene still needing help and not getting the help she needed.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So, ¿en qué momento tú tomaste la decisión to seek help for yourself?
I think it happened during the time that everything happened, when I had my spiritual awakening after coming out from the last severe depression. Something just changed in me, and the first thing that I did was go to counseling. Like I started going to therapy, and I was really, they were by this time, they were already, my daughter was in college. My youngest daughter was in college. She must have been maybe about 19 years old. And then my oldest one, 4 years older than that. And so they weren't young, like they were already starting to live their own lives, and they were pretty much living their own lives by that time. My youngest daughter would come home, during breaks from school, but they weren't here that much. And then I just kind of, I feel like I had more time for me, and that was like one of the things that I always knew that I needed to do. Like I needed to talk to somebody, but I was scared, and just like everything else in my life, that was scary. Like to talk to another human about, my life was like so scary. And then one day I was just like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And then I started watching like videos and like, why is it so scary, for people to seek therapy? And then I realized that I wasn't the only one. And the only thing that I needed to do was like, just do it just look for a therapist, one thing at a time. And then later, like, call, and then maybe you're going to hang up, but then call again, or maybe schedule, kind of like that. And then I had to do like one at a time until I finally got into therapy. And I found an amazing therapist that spoke like me, that was very similar to me, that I could relate to. And I learned a lot from her. Like, I don't know how I learned a lot from her. She helped open me up so I can learn more about me. I think it's, how I could say it. And she's probably like one of the first people that kind of told me, like, you're okay. Like, you're okay. You just need to believe you're okay. And then when she told me that, I'm just like, well, I'm not okay, because obviously I'm here talking to you. But I think in the end, what she was trying to tell me is that, like, I had to work on these things about me and in me. And I was really hard on me, and I needed to be kinder to me. But just like therapists do, they just kind of point it out to you, so you can figure it out. And so that was like one of my first steps, to try to do something for me. And it was probably the best thing that I did for me.
Well, you going through that process, did that ever make you go, shit, did I push my girls to go into therapy and maybe they felt fear or felt some of the same emotions I did?
No, actually, my daughter started going to therapy before I started going to therapy. My oldest daughter started, when she started college, she said, I need to do this for me, Mom, and I'm going to go because something's going on with me. And so she was like, if you ever want to do it, Mom, you should. And she was like, she also, told me that. And then because of her, I think my youngest daughter also started going to therapy. So they were both in college, and there's services available in college, and they took advantage of that. And they started, both of them were in therapy before I was in therapy. Yeah.
¿Cómo cambió la relación when they went to therapy? If you were to do, like, let's say a comparison of before and after your relationship as a mom and daughter, what would that look like?
I mean, one of the first things that happened was that they started putting boundaries on me. Like, and I didn't know what that was. Yeah, those boundaries. Like,
Nosotros los mexicanos no
I know. I was like, ¿Me
quieres?
Sí. Yeah, and that was like one of the first things that happened, that I was just like I think that was the first time that I noticed that I had raised them differently, because they had this different way of thinking. They, I don't know, they were just very, like, progressive, and they were very liberal, and they were just like, no, Mom, you shouldn't do that. Like, no, Mom, Dad should not talk to you like that. No, Mom, and making me aware of a lot of things. Like, it was them. It was actually the other way around. It was them that, made me aware of it.
That had the chance out for you?
Yes. And they would tell me, like, we got to do this, Mom, because you don't know, like, you don't know how to do boundaries, because somebody taught you how to do boundaries. And she's like, so yeah, like I remember what my oldest daughter, she moved back into the house, and I came into her room, and I grabbed something. She's like, you can't do that, Mom. This is a boundary. And I was just like, but it's my house. But it's, she's like, no, Mom, if you want us to have a good relationship, you got to respect me. I'm a person. I'm an adult now. You can't just walk into my room. Like, it's my privacy. Like, and then I just thought, oh my gosh, like, it is, like, they're not kids anymore. Like, they have their own minds. And she, like, stood up to me, and she was like, no, Mom, that's not right. Like, that's not right. You can't do that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I thought it was kind of weird, because, like, I felt like if I would have told that to my parents, it would have been like, ¿Qué chingados? Like, ¿qué es eso? Yeah.
O el cinto lo que encontraran.
I know. And they were very, and this was like very out of culture, very out of everything, And so me learning that actually came from them. And so that was something else that was really, really interesting for me to notice, because they were a lot more aware, because they had done this healing prior to me doing it. So they understood healing. They understood boundaries. They understood self-care. They understood all that before I understood it. Yeah. I'm really proud of them.
Whenever they set up that first boundary, que te tomó así como en shock, ¿verdad? Que dijiste, ¿qué pedo con esto?
Yeah.
Did you at some point reflect on the lack of boundaries between you and your parents?
I did.
Y no nada más de niña, sino as a grown-ass adult.
Yep. I did. And when that happened, I remember I really wanted to set boundaries. I really wanted to because I felt like it was good for me, but they couldn't. It was too many years, and I still have kind of a hard time with that because they take it like very personal, like I'm mad at them or I hate them or and they can't see it. Yeah, exactly. And so I have to work with that because I also have to understand where they come from, and I have to understand that, and because we're sharing space in the home, like I want to do it for me, but I also want to be sensitive to them because I think it's probably hard for them. I mean, they're already in their 70s, and they've never done that before, and they take everything very personal. Everything is like an attack to them. And I'm just like,
it's their life, right?
Exactly. So I have to still to this day, it's something that I have to, constantly, have is a challenge for me. And that I'm constantly trying to figure out how to work around and teaching them like, it's not bad. It's just your respect for us as humans. And, but yeah. It's still
que respeto ni que 8 cuartos.
See, yeah. They might like nod their heads, but I know that inside they don't understand it. They just don't get it. They just don't get it. So I think my daughters were the first ones that kind of like started doing that even with them. And they noticed that like those are the different granddaughters. They have a lot of grandkids, but they're different. Like they'll say things. And so it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But they don't live here. They live in Illinois. Both of them are living in Illinois right now. So I don't get to see them a lot. But I feel like when they come and visit, it's they feel something. Like they feel like uneasy. Like some kind of it's really interesting to see them. And I see them like days before they know that they're coming. They're already starting to feel apprehensive and stuff. It's really interesting to notice it. I think it's just a dynamic that was created in our family that me still living with them is something that I'm still having to work through. So it's really interesting.
So whenever your girls decided to seek therapy, ¿qué dijeron tus papás?
I don't think that I mentioned that to them. I don't think that I ever had a conversation with them about that. I don't think they know about it, honestly. That's just kind of like, just to kind of give people an idea that, even when you live in the same home, like, I think that was really important for my daughters, and that was their, like, it was private for them. I feel like it wasn't my responsibility or my job or anything, or to meddle in like telling other people. Like, I feel like if people knew, it was because they told them, not because I told them. So I think I respected that, and to this day, I've never, the only reason why my parents know that I went to therapy is because I speak about it, but I don't know if they've ever spoken about it to them. Honestly, I don't think so.
You told them you went to therapist.
I think it was like that moment where I think they thought I was gonna like make them go to therapy, like make him do something. Yeah, like I went. Now you gotta. I think that's kind of how they've always looked at me, like kind of mandona. And I just said, there was a lot of things that have happened in my life, and muchas cosas que me han pasado en mi vida, y yo tengo que buscar ayuda para mí, para sanarme a mí. yo pienso que es beneficioso para todos, incluyendo ustedes. Y si ustedes un día quieren buscar ayuda, a hablar con alguien, yo les puedo buscar a alguien que quieran hablar. And I just left it there. And I just kind of left it open for them. And I just figured if one day they want to, they will. But, my mom is like, well, que vaya tu papá. No, my mom is like, que vaya tu papá, es el que necesita que lo ayude.
Deflecting, in other words.
El que necesita ayuda es él, no yo. And I was like, mamá, pero todos necesitamos ayuda. Usted también. No es para mi papá, es para usted, para que usted se sienta mejor. No es para él. Si él quiere ayudarse a él y quiere sentirse mejor, entonces él va a ir. Pero no necesita él ir primero para que usted vaya, o no necesita usted ir primero para que él vaya. Puede ir cualquiera pueden ir juntos si quieren. Pueden ir a ver un marriage counselor, lo que ustedes quieran, nomás es su decisión. So I leave it like that now, because yeah, they every time I mention something, they're just like, "Are you gonna make us do that?" I'm like, I don't make it do anything. It's just a gesture.
I'm starting to wonder, cómo eres tú de hija con ellos, cómo los traumaste. Maybe I need to to them and find out their traumas from their daughter.
You would definitely need to talk to them, because I really want to know si yo los traumé, because if I did, like, oh my gosh.
Apparently you did.
I think so. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
So after you went to therapy, how did your relationship change then? Because they set boundaries when they went to therapy.
Yeah.
You were like, ¿qué pedo con esto? Now you went through therapy.
Yeah.
How did that dynamic change?
I mean, it changed with everybody that lives in this home. So the first person that it changed with was my husband. And then, it changed with my parents. And then I think my relationship with my daughters became stronger because of it, because we just developed this different type of relationship. It wasn't always like that. Like, I always thought that I was a good mom. Like, I always thought that, I really, really thought that, I was a good mom, that I did everything that I could, that I did the best I could. But I also, después me di cuenta que the memories I have, whatever I remember about me raising them, is very different to the memories they had. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to match. And I'm able to have conversations with them, that has to do with that, and very mature conversations. And it's changed because we could just talk now. We can communicate, and very respectfully. And they don't ask me for advice, but I believe that they know that they can if they want to. And when we have conversations, I will ask, like, do you want me to give you my advice, or you just want to vent? And then they'll be like, just vent. Okay, all right, just go for it then, And I feel really honored that they do that, with me,
That they feel safe enough to do that.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll do it, one talks about the other one, and then like, yeah, she did this to me, and she did that to me. Se pelean, and I'm just like, okay, do you just want my advice, or, or vent? And yeah, so we have I feel like we have that relationship where we establish boundaries, that I don't give unnecessary, or unsolicited advice. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that, because I'm just like, let me fix your life. Let me tell you how to fix your life. That used to be me. So with them, it got better, definitely got better. And but for the rest of the people, not so much better. It's just, I mean, I think that's just kind of what happens when one person in the family just, decides to heal. Then I think it becomes difficult for the rest of the family that is not ready to do so. And, also me finding my place and navigating through that has been challenging also. But I have enough awareness to know that also. Like, I know it. I know that it's hard for them. I know that I can't make them, even though I want to. I can't. It's not my job. I can't interfere. I can't force anybody. I could just be an example, and I could just live. And then through that, I hope that whatever it is that I spark in them, they're going to be like, well, let me do that. It sounds like you manage your stress better. What do you do? And then I'll be here and like, oh, let me tell you what I do. I do meditation and I do somatic work and all these things. But yeah, I had to learn like not to just be like, let me fix you, because that's what I wanted to do. That's always been me. Sí, all the time. And siento que lo hacía de por una buena manera, like for a good reason, pero no, they didn't perceive it as that. They just perceived it as like mi metiche, like trying to fix everybody's life, And then I had to see that in me, that people didn't really want to come over anymore because they didn't want to hear what I had to say. And then I'm just like, okay, then people are not wanting this information, so that I have to learn how to hold that energy and allow it to flow when it needs to flow. And sometimes I'm just gonna have to contain it. And I'm learning. Actually, I'm learning that like right now. I've been learning that for a little bit. Yeah,
that's interesting.
It is.
So, ahora que you've been on this healing journey, therapy is very different than when you're going through an awakening journey. How has that changed the relationship between you and your daughters?
Again, I think it made it stronger. I think it made it stronger because I think that because they're my daughters, there's this spiritual connection that I've always had with them. It's always been there. I just wasn't aware of it. And both of them are, they're kind people, and they're good humans, and they want good things, and they have a good heart. And I think that they understand me, that, that this thing that sometimes, they're kind of like, yeah, Mom, I don't know about you. Like they'll say stuff like, they're talking about work or something, and I'll be like, yeah. They're like, yeah, Mom, I don't know about you. And they'll say things like that about me. But for the most part, they support me. I mean, they support me in everything, and they just want me to be happy. And they'll tell me, just be happy, whatever it is. If we can help you, whatever it is, we can help you with, like, we're here for you. And so I feel like I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful that I have that relationship with them, and that when I say things like, oh, like, I'm gonna send you healing energy, like, they believe it, and my youngest daughter is like, okay, Mom, send me some of your juice, send me the juice, send me the healing. And so, I tell them stuff, and so they're like, yeah, I try, Mom, I try, but yeah, they're super supportive. They've been very supportive, and I know that as they grow older, I know that they're gonna follow in very similar, like, we're gonna have very similar paths. I just know that we are, but I just think it's interesting, that I'm here now, and like to see where they're at now. And like to see like who they become. I'm really proud of them. I'm like, they're like just amazing humans, and I'm really proud that I was able to create, beautiful humans. And I think for me, like, that's always been like really, really important for me. Not money. It's been about like the kind of heart, like, I always wanted to raise children that had good hearts, that were like cared about other people, que no eran ventajosos, que no se aprovechaban de la gente, que se equivocaban and then they would admit it. I always wanted.
Irene's wounds?
I'm sorry? What you say?
Are those Irene's wounds that you're mentioning?
Possibly. I think it was. And so I think I worked on that. So that, I don't know, I think I worked on that so that they wouldn't go through like a lot of parts, like, they wouldn't go through them the way I went through them, I just wanted them to have a different experience, but yeah, they're super supportive.
This is the adult Irene trying to heal little Irene through her children.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Which unconsciously is something we don't know we're doing, but that's what we're doing a lot of the time. When we parent our children y nos fastidiamos con ellos porque hacen ciertas cosas de cierta manera que va a lo contrario de lo que nosotros pensamos que está bien, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to look at your overall parenting with your children,
mm-hmm.
y verlos a ellos como espejos? ¿Qué te vinieron a enseñar tus hijas?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, I want to cry for this. I think that they came to show me that I'm capable of like achieving everything that I never thought that I could achieve. And I think they showed me that because it would have been impossible for them to become the kind of humans that they are if they wouldn't have been raised by somebody like me. So everything that they became was because like I believed that they could be, and I instilled that in them. Like, believe in you, like you can do anything that you want. Anything, you could be anything you want. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? I would tell them when they were kids, like, whatever you want to, like, how big do you want to dream? And I think that was that child in me that I always wanted them to like continue to be children. I never wanted them not to be children. I wanted them to be children as long as they could be children because I didn't get to do that. So I think that I try really hard for them to have like the kind of childhood that that would like help them become like these amazing human beings. And in spite of like all the things that happened to me and my trauma and everything, like I know that I did good. Like I know that I did. I know like I don't have any guilt now where I feel like, oh, I fucked up. Like no, I did. Like I taught them to stand up for themselves, and I taught them to always defend the people that couldn't defend themselves, and to stand up for what they believe. Like I always told them, like, stand up for what you believe. Like don't ever let people like tell you that you can't. I felt like I was telling them what I needed to tell me. And they listened. They listened, so they became the women that I always wanted to become. Like they became independent, and they didn't take shit, And they would my oldest daughter would come home and she'd be like, I hate that fucking job. People are horrible. And I'm like, what did you do? She's like, well, I told them, like, you can't treat me like that. I told them that you can treat me like that. And when they fire me, I don't give a fuck. And I was just like, you go for it. And then my husband would be like, no, girl, like, no, Teresa, no, you can't say that. No, you can't say that. ¿Cómo? Like, it's a government job. You can't say that. And I was like, que chinguen su madre, que chinguen su madre. Like,
¿Qué government job ni que nada?
And I remember I did that for them. So that's who they became. Like they're very soft people and they're very good people, but they defend themselves. They know how to stand up for themselves. And they know how to say no. And they know how to fight like for what they believe in. And they know how to tell an employer, like, no, I deserve for you to pay me more because I'm worth it. And they know how to do that. And I'm just like, oh, like I did that for them. And that was amazing.
How long did it take you to do that for yourself?
Oh, well, I mean, I think because of
now.
I know. I think I'm still working on it right now because I think it was, when I talk about it, I talk about like these, like so many years of programming. It's so many years. It's been all my life. And I can't like just be like, I'm literally like evolving into this like another me, another version of me. And I'm still in the process. I'm evolving, I'm like shedding the conditioning and reprogramming myself. Like I work on that all the time because I know that system of belief that told me, like very limited belief system, it's very, very embedded in me because it was like too many years. It was too many years. And I recognize that about myself. And I'm like, oh no, like I gotta be really, I feel like I gotta be like really, really kind to me and know that it's coming. And I see it in me and I see it a lot. But I know that this isn't the end because I still have so much work to do. So I'm like, I have time. I have time. I don't have anything else to do but to work on me. Nothing else to do but to work on me. So then that's kind of how I see it. I'm like, I'm gonna go really slow. I'm learning how to do that because I never learned how to go slow. Everything was always in chinga, move fast, work fast, raise your family fast, make money fast. This, work on your body, work on you. Everything was so fast. And now I'm just like, I'm training myself to go slow. I'm literally training myself because I didn't know how to do that. And that's been challenging, but it's been challenging, but amazing at the same time. It's been amazing, so yeah.
So, ahora que ves a tus hijas ya adultas, if you look at them now, what qualities or experiences or traumas did you pass on to them that they hold on to right now, that you created, that you passed on?
I think that right now I'm at a point where I'm observing what me being in a relationship with a person without boundaries, without being healed for so many years did to them, because they already got married. Both of them, got married recently, and they're going through that part. And I can see things, but I can't do anything about it at this point because that's just what happened. But I can see it. And I know as time goes on and those relationships evolve, I know that I'm going to see more. I know that I am. And so I think right now I'm just trying to do all the work that I'm supposed to do for me, because I know that the time is going to come where they might need me to help them in that area. And I won't be able to help them until I'm well to help them. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that right now, because it's like so new and it's evolving and it's just starting, and what I see is just what I see. That's just for me. I can't share it with them because that's just, that moves into me meddling in their lives, and I can't do that. So for me, that's interesting. And I don't feel bad about it. I'm not crying about it. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just observing it. And I am I'm doing, like I said, I'm just doing it for me now, because I know that there's a possibility that they're gonna need my assistance in the future, and I want to be there.
Unhealed version of mom, how would she be reacting right now to what she sees?
I think the first thing I would have been was just like, oh my gosh, she's just like your dad. Do you not see it? Look at that. Look at it. I see it. How come you can't? I would be like, no te vayas a dejar. No te dejes que te haga esto. No te dejes que te haga. Like, basically telling them all the things that I would have, that I should have told me.
What should have done.
Exactly. That's what the unhealed version of me would have done. Like, I need to go and fix this. I need to go and fight for this. I need to go and protect it. I need whatever. I need to go protect my babies. No, they're women. They're adult women. They're 25 and they're 29 years old, and they live their lives and they have their own relationships, and they're their own humans, and they pick their own human, and they allow me in their lives when they allow me in their lives. And I got to be okay with that, because they're living their lives, and we make time for each other. When we, we schedule calls because they have busy lives, because I have a busy life too now. And so it's really interesting. I think that I didn't think that I would handle this part of life with them being married the way I am now. And I'm so grateful that I was able to get to this point, because that means me having a better relationship. That means that we're just going to continue and like on our evolution of our relationships, and that's really important for me. Like, if they ever just
of ¿cómo dice el dicho? Las suegras de azúcar.
See,
right?
I think so. I think so. I'm not really familiar with that one, but I know what you mean. And yeah, so I mean, yo no soy la suegra metiche. I think the boys love me. I try to be like I feel like I mean, they picked each other, and if they love each other, then if he ever wants to talk to me about advice, like I've told both of them, both of my yernos, like I'm here for you guys. Besides the girls, like I'm here for you guys also, and so I would like to get to know them as people also because I think that's important too. You know, I think in our culture nos hacemos mucho como we like them as long as they're married to you. And once they're not married to you, pues, yeah.
Mhm.
Even though they become part of our lives. And then it's like, why can't we like him still? Like, why do we have to hate him? Like, if he's been in our lives for all this time, why can't we continue having a relationship? So I think I just want to do it different. I just want to do where we get along as people and we see each other as people, not as just like you're my yerno and you fuck her over, like I'm gonna hate you forever because that's my instinct. It's
Mhm.
my instinct, but I'm like I can't
Extend
manage
your
like
right
that.
hand para saludarlo with the chancla in the left hand, para darle
See,
chingazo at the same time.
that's horrible. That's horrible. And plus, I never
But
saw
it's the
that from
reality, right?
yeah. Well, I never saw that from my parents because my parents always kind of they were always very good to to their yernos. They have respect for them and they never disrespected them. And I think they meddled. They really didn't meddle. They kind of allowed us to live our lives. I don't know if out of guilt or out of like I don't know the reasons why, but they've never really meddled. So I never assumed that I was gonna be a meddling like suegra. I never saw myself like that. Like I wanna hang out with them when I go visit them. I want to go hang out with them, and I want to go, do all these cool places. And I don't want them to be like, oh fuck, she's gonna come and visit. Fuck, you take her, or you take her. I didn't want to be like that. I want them to fight to see who gets me.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Oh, so interesting.
So, ahora con tus yernos, right? Because
Mhm.
they're your sons too.
Yeah.
They're your sons too. They married your daughters. They become part of
Mhm.
your brood.
Yep, they are.
What are they reflecting back to you?
They reflect back to me the unhealed parts. I can see the unhealed parts of my husband in them. And I know that it's not like I don't mean to say like, oh, como it's my husband and he's a no, I just mean that the unhealed parts of him were the parts that were observed by their daughters. And it's the reason it has to do with partly why they ended up choosing the men that they chose. And you and I know that. They don't know that yet.
Through the last episode, right?
We did talk about that. Yes,
That we
we
married
talked
our
about that.
fathers.
Exactly. But I don't know. They might. I don't think we've ever had a conversation about that, the girls and I, but I see the unhealed versions of their dad in them. I see the traits. I see it. Um and I don't I it's interesting to observe. I mean, it's just really interesting because it's the consequence of. This is the consequence of, their programming. This is what they learned because this is what they saw, because this is what we taught, because this is what we were living, unhealed versions of ourselves for most of their lives. So, I mean, they're going to have to figure out that part all on their own, just like I'm having to figure it all on my own. I can't point it out. And I'm just like, what is all that? But I can't.
It's very
Yeah,
different when it's your child
it is.
versus when it's somebody else coming to you and saying, hey, what do you see?
I
Help me
know.
identify the pattern. That's very different.
It is.
So it's completely understandable.
Yeah. But I
So,
love them. I
última
love them.
pregunta sobre tus espejos que tienes ahí en tu casa. At any point, have your parents looked at the relationships you have with your daughters and your son-in-laws and said, ¿y nosotros por qué no tenemos una relación así?
I think they might say that to themselves. I don't even think they say it to each other, but I think they say it to themselves because my mom has made like references. Qué bonito sería or qué bonito es. And, but they've never told me. They've just never told me. And I just kind of feel like the way that I decided to do this part of my life with, me raising my children, I think that part was so different from them that I don't think they recognize any of the similarities. I don't think they see it because they were focusing on the big stuff. They were focusing on the education part. They were focusing on the on them like being like, oh, these like these very successful people. But the other parts, the damaging parts, I guess, they, even though we lived in the same house, like they didn't get to see that because I didn't want them to see that because they were mine, and I didn't want to share them because I felt like it was my family and it was like it was for me, and so I didn't want to share that. But I've done it so different that I don't know. Like I feel like even the relationships between their grandkids is very different with each of them. And I feel like something about my daughters like causes them uncomfort, but I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they feel like they can't communicate with them. I mean, there are no sabo kids. No saben mucho, no saben, their español is horrible, but they try, I don't know. I feel a resistance from my parents, but I can't quite put my finger on it, which is really interesting. And I think it's an observation, honestly. I think they're observing something that they're just not like familiar with. Because I think I broke that mold. I know that I broke it. And so when they look at me, I think they perceive me as doing this thing very, very white or very Anglo. I did it very Anglo. And so I haven't sat down and have a conversation with them about that and how they feel about that. But I kind of like, just based on what they say, I feel like they just can't relate. Like they just can't relate to what I did, how I did it, which is interesting to me. I just find it very interesting.
When you take into consideration the fact where they grew up, where they were born, where they grew up, and what they did to get into this country.
Yes.
It's interesting to see how that influenced everything, obviously, as parents as well, to you and to your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Y tú siendo, growing here in the United States, and especially in the region that you grew up in,
mm-hmm.
it's a different perspective than your parents.
Yeah.
So I can see why they look at you and go, pues esta que sacó con sus ideas acá bien gringas, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be any different than myself and my parents. I mean, my parents, same thing.
Yes.
Migrated to Mexico, right? Came to Texas, and they came and dropped us here in the Bible Belt of Texas. Mm-hmm. So, of course, the difference is going to be at quite a bit, especially when you consider that, for example, I went down to South Texas when I graduated from college, and I went to a completely liberal city compared to the conservative area here. So, de que mis ideas están más locas, más abiertas, absolutely.
Yeah.
And did they look at me with a little bit of side eye? Absolutely.
Yes, I know. I've always just I find it to be like very interested and very interesting. And now I've just I don't place that much emphasis on it, to be honest with you, anymore, because I think it bothered me for a long time. Like that me being different was kind of like, I felt like it it was seen so negative, like in such a negative way. And then I stopped like paying attention. I don't really worry about that anymore. I know that I'm different. I know. And me being different, like I shouldn't have to justify it anymore. I don't do that anymore. And so, but that still exists. That's still them. That's still something that they feel, and that I do my very best to try to understand based on where they came from too. I always take that into consideration. Like my experience is so different. Like nothing like related to them. Like nada. It's like night and day. So I got to be sensitive to that too. So I work on that.
I do want to say that one of the things that I came to understand when looking at not only my daughter, but myself, my parents, and the generations behind, when it came to generational trauma, is that it wasn't just my family. Like, uno de mis hermanos puso una family tree together. And he invested so much time in that. It's amazing to see how much information was out there. And we're talking about like back in the time when, kids were born and sacaban un papelito y lo escribían en el papelito y se lo daban, right? Like,
oh my God, I want to do that so bad.
That's, it's crazy to see, but it's amazing that he was able to find those papelitos, right?
Yeah.
In the corresponding zones of Zacatecas and a couple of other states. So he was able to go back like several generations.
Yeah.
And find moms, dads, and some question marks because we don't know who the dads were. But one of the things that we saw as a pattern was cuántas mamás solteras había.
Mm.
And so, yo soy mamá soltera.
Mm-hmm.
Mi hija es mamá soltera.
Mm-hmm.
My mom tried to fight it as much as she could. Mi abuelita on both sides, mamás solteras. I mean, you can just see
really
all these mamás solteras. Obviously, I had to heal quite a bit personally when it came to all the damage that I did to my daughter as mamá. Pero también necesitaba que entender más allá, how the fuck did we get here? Why have we repeated this mamá soltera pattern for generation after generation after generation?
Yep.
And so when I looked at it, I saw that back in the years that this happened, las mujeres no tenían derechos. De muchas maneras, no tenían derechos, no tenían voz. They were expected to fit a certain frame. They had no value. And all of these things that were occurring in those time frames, and it didn't matter if it was 1900s or even 1800s, las heridas se iban pasando de generación en generación.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, well, what created that? Because my dad platicaba mucho from the stories that he had heard from his tíos and his of our indigenous roots and the traditions and how sacred the woman was, how sacred the feminine energy was, and how the indigenous masculine would always protect the woman. Like, era su trabajo, protegerla, y si ella necesitaba algo, go and take care of it. And it's like, how did we go from that to having todas esas mamás solteras being abandoned?
Yes.
Right? The answer I came up with was colonization. So, again, dependiendo qué historia leas, cuál autor sea, there's some discrepancies and different perspectives on what happened in Mexico. But when I heard my dad's stories and what he had heard and what he read, talking like he went to school 1940s. So the few years that he went to school, he got his history bug. But then when he stopped going to school, he continued educating himself. He was a curious man. Leía. And so what he came to understand about colonization and how it happened is that a lot of women came and were raped by these colonizers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, shit. We went from being sacred in our indigenous, being protected, being loved, being provided for, being the intuitive women. Like if big decisions had to be made, they'd go to their female to see what their intuition said, to women being not respected physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and starting to create that trauma and that pattern and that repetition. Yep. So if you think about when the Mexica Empire lo conquistaron, what was, I don't know off the top of my head, to just today, that's a whole lot of years.
But I think it's been about 500 years.
This trauma has been repeating over and over and over and over and over and over. And here I have my family tree y lo estoy viendo.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you fix it? ¿Cómo paro yo de hacer ese patrón of all these single mothers that have come in my family tree? Whenever I'm a single mom, my daughter has turned into a single mom, how do I stop it? That's the $1 million question that came to me as I was going through my own awakening journey.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that was todas esas cosas que se rompieron en mi familia, en las generaciones anteriores.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had no self-value, even though por fuera, my ego had tons of value.
Yeah.
But my spirit, myself, So I had to heal that because I saw that I passed that on to my daughter unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
But when she was young, kind of like you told them everything of how valuable she was and how great she was and all of her abilities and her joy and her happiness y todo eso. But then I also passed that wound of value.
Mm-hmm.
So healing that was important. Healing the aspect of aguantarme. So in the external world and the business world, I went from being quiet and meek to being very vocal on my opinions. I would push for my voice to be heard. But in my own personal relationship, I was doing the same thing. Callada, very pleasing, very everything.
Mm-hmm.
Very vocal and very hurtful. I had to find my voice and be able to express not only what I needed, what I wanted, to myself first.
Yeah, I see that.
Y darme ese lugar, encontrar ese valor y ese espacio for me. Because what my daughter, be loving, be respectful, be of service to everyone, do things externally and not internally for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Y como buena grabadora, I repeated everything.
Mm-hmm.
Did it. And at her now 29 years of age, ella está pasando por su despertar desde hace un par de años. She's realizing a couple of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing for me that I came to realize is the fact that todos esos cientos y cientos de años que llevamos como mexicanos, and I'm Mexican, so I can only speak about my history, right, lineage, viéndonos que somos menos because of this beautiful brown skin.
Yep. I completely agree with that. I completely agree.
that was a very big wound in my lineage and my own family tree. And that made me be the chingona fucking kick your fucking ass bullshit corporate executive. That was my wound there. Because I didn't want anybody to be better than me that wasn't my skin color.
Really?
So somebody's skin color, and let's be honest, in the business world, no hay muchas como nosotros de este color.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure que no. I mean, I know there isn't. There's not enough of us.
And there's a few that are there que son como dicen los coconuts, ¿verdad? Prietitos por fuera, pero más blancos que la chingada por dentro, right? I was damned if I was going to allow a European American to always be arriba de mí.
Wow.
I just wanted to be here.
Yeah.
So being here wasn't only just about my wounds and my own child upbringing y todo eso. It's that trauma that we carry in our genes that I don't think we've given enough space or awareness of as Mexicanos or Mexicoamericanos.
Yes.
That brings up that super competitive side of us. The me vale madre, me voy a partir la madre, cuésteme lo que me cueste, until I am right here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody has it, but I sure as hell did.
So did I.
I sure as hell did. So when I was in leadership meetings con todos esos gringos, when I was in board meetings con todos esos gringos, that unhealed por chingos of generations trauma that we have carried in our genes was always right here. Right here. Anytime they throw shit at me, I throw it right back.
Wow.
Y tú sabes que como Mexicanos, como Latinos, we have that additional spice in us.
Yeah.
So it was the shit, con un pinche chile de árbol.
Con un chile serrano.
But my daughter saw it because my daughter worked at a company with it. So she saw it. So for her, it was like, chingue su madre, mi mamá sin chingona, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other side, what was I teaching her?
Yes. Yes.
You have to go shit on people to be heard, to be valued, to be seen. Y mi hija no es así. Mi hija has always been one of a very kind heart, and that's what she came to show me. Is kindness, unconditional love, and compassion. Those are the three things that I can tell you she taught me desde que estaba huerquilla. And somehow I tried to fight against that. I wanted her to be kind and compassionate and loving, but within this structure because are built within this system, because I didn't want her to be hurt. So what I showed her as a parent was the strong, chingona woman that she could be if she chose to.
That is
Ask
so
her now what
interesting.
she thinks about that.
I know. I'm curious not to know what she thinks about that. Yeah, we should. I just gotta think that it's really interesting because cuando empezamos a, like part of the spiritual awakening también tiene que ver con darnos cuenta de eso, like how far back does this shit come? Like how far back? Y yo, como tú, when you mentioned that your brother doing the family tree, I'm so curious because I want to know more about like my indigenous roots, where we come from, why people in my family are so submissive, why, like where does that come from that women don't stand up for themselves? Like who started that? Who did that? Now, I'm also very aware that the immigration experience also does a number on the people, and ya traen cargando all this genetic crap. And then something else happens when they arrive in this country. Something happens. So, I mean, it's about us taking time to understand it. And I think once we take that time, we become less judgmental and more compassionate, because then you stop hating the thing that you're hating when you understand that you had no control over the thing that you're hating. It evolved. It came from generations and generations
somewhere.
before.
And
Yes.
that's the thing that, at least from my perspective, yo me hacía güey muchas de las veces porque decía, si alguien llegaba y me decía, 10 years ago, oh, you need to look at the history of, go back to your indigenous root and see what happened and the colonization y todo eso, I would have been like, ese pinche pedo ya pasó hace mucho tiempo. Like, stop making excuses.
Yeah.
But the thing is that's what we learned. That's what my ancestors experienced. Ellos aprendieron a obedecer a esos españoles que vinieron. Ellos aprendieron porque sufrieron y tuvieron esas experiencias difíciles de mejor, mira, porque si no te iban a...
Yes. And that is literally embedded in our DNA. It's biological. It's not bullshit. It's not anything. This is science. Mm-hmm. It's science. So when we want to learn, like, we understand, like, that breaking like these generational traumas is you're changing a genetic structure that has been for so long. And it's a big deal. It's not a little thing. It's a big deal. It's going to determine where your lineage is how your lineage is going to continue, and if they're going to continue in a healthy way or not. And I'm just like, I would love for people to understand that too. Like, it's no más es de ti. Like, investiga, like, take time, because it comes from so far back. So
that we still carry
today. Oh my God.
In our modern society, in our beautiful homes, and tu mamalona que manejas, you still carry it today.
Yep.
Y cuando tomas conciencia de eso, it not only changes how you view yourself, your children, it changes how you view humanity in general. And yes, you're going to go maybe through phases que estás encabronado. I mean, estaba bastante encabronada for years and years and years and years. Fastidiada en cómo funcionaba este sistema.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to play the game. But then when I started playing the game, I fucking hated it. I hated it because it was totally the opposite of who I am truly. So, si damos ese espacio y ese reconocimiento, we acknowledge that dark side of our history, porque es lo que es.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to acknowledge that it exists in us, that we've carried it, that a lot of the times, all of these movements, all of these protests, all of these things that anger us and infuriate us is not only because it's right or wrong based on what we believe now. It's because genetically, energetically, spiritually, we carry the trauma.
Yep.
And
I totally agree.
Rises to the top. I used to be one that defendía a los mexicanos, defendía a los inmigrantes ilegales, como les quiera llamar, because to me, it was all about... No había distinción en mí sobre eso. To me, I would get angry. I would speak up. Si alguien la cagaba with their comment, I'd flip back immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to heal, I came to realize that anger was not because of only my beliefs. Era todo lo que había atrás.
Yep.
And I passed that on to my daughter. Like, my daughter ahorita, con todo lo que ha sucedido, se encabrona.
Mm-hmm.
And she's ready to do what she can do and respond to people, especially, social media has opened a whole can of worms.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Esa versión encabronada que veo en ella ahora.
Yes.
Guess who taught her?
Yes. Of course.
But now, gracias a Dios, she asks me sometimes to coach her or to give her guidance on her response, or should she respond y todo eso. And I just make her reflect on herself and her own emotions and her own thoughts and how her words matter, how her energy matters, and how that's going to impact humanity. A veces she proceeds and responds. A veces she's like, you're right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I'm not going to waste my energy on that.
Yep.
I'm just going to bring it back into me. So I would
That's so
say that has
interesting.
been probably the biggest generational trauma for not only me, but my entire lineage, my entire family.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found. I'm glad you found that out. I mean, that's really valuable, important information. And now you know, and you and the generations after you have the responsibility to like heal that, because it's got to start healing at some point, right? Oh my gosh, this is so
At some
cool.
point, because mira hasta dónde hemos llegado. So,
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
all right, amiga, we
Oh
are
gosh,
at a
what a
point
good
where we need to wrap
conversation.
this baby up.
Yeah, I know. Ya me iba a traer un cafecito que se puso bien buena. Se
El
puso bien buena la
panecito, ¿verdad?
plática. I know. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, amiga. What an interesting episode. What an interesting episode. Thank you so much. I know everything that you do is like, amazing with the topics and everything, but I think it's important for us to do these, even the hard ones. Like this was a hard one for me. I told you about it. I'm like, híjole, when you sent me the topic a week ago, I've been sitting on it and I'm meditating. And I'm like, it's the thing that is so difficult to do, but it's necessary because it's part of the healing, and it's a thing that we need to do. And I'm here because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to look at me, and I'm here to work on me, and I'm here to be an example, for the people that are interested and that want to do it, on how it looks like. Like we all have the ability to do it, but we all do it at when we believe we're ready. So again, I think the message was that we're here to support you. We know what you're going through, whatever process of the awakening you're going through, like we're here. We can support you on that. So I'm really, really grateful to be doing this, especially with you, amiga. Thank you so much for being such an inspiration, and for all your wisdom.
Today, we're going to leave you with a couple of questions for you to reflect on. Y te vuelvo a recordar, you don't have to find the answer right now. Simply feel it. ¿Dónde lo sientes en tu cuerpo? ¿Qué sientes? Obsérvalo, sin juzgarte y sin minimizarte. Now take a deep breath in. Exhale. ¿Qué parte de mi hijo o hija me pone más a prueba? ¿Y qué me está recordando de mi propia infancia? Am I responding to my child in the present moment or reacting from a wound that still lives inside of me? If my child is reflecting something back to me, what might they be asking me to heal, release, or understand differently? Y espejito, espejito, ¿qué estoy callando? Si hoy algo en ti se movió y no fue a causa de los tacos de bistec que te echaste mientras escuchabas este podcast, maybe something in your heart shifted. Take a moment to breathe and feel that shift. Recuerda, tus hijos no son el problema. Ellos son espejos. Tú controlas tu reacción. Tú controlas tu emoción. Tú eres la que tiene el poder de sanar y mover esa energía que llevas atrapada, de sanar tus heridas de la infancia. Cada enojo, cada llanto, cada desafío es un reflejo de algo que está listo para ser visto, para ser sanado. Y eso solo lo puedes hacer tú. So give yourself permission to look at yourself with compassion, with grace, y pregúntate, ¿qué me está enseñando mi hijo, mi hija? ¿Qué necesito ver en mí? Te recuerdo, no es culpa, no es juicio, es claridad, es amor. La sanación no es instantánea, pero cada respiración consciente, cada reflexión, cada momento de presencia es un paso gigantesco hacia romper patrones y vivir desde el corazón. So put that chancla down y sigue mirando tus reflejos con amor. And I'm going to remind you, you are your biggest project. You are the only one that can take care of you. No lo olvides. Date el tiempo y la prioridad, porque eres lo más importante para ti misma.